And so ends another UFC fight card. UFC Fight Night 32, Sandhagen versus Dillashaw comes to an end very early. At currently recording, it is 10:15 p.m. So it is a very early episode, the podcast y'all getting. So yeah, y'all could be happy for that. But in terms of us being this early and we have nothing to do, it's kind of sucks. But hey, we're gonna talk for however long. As always, I joined with by Rajiv. Rajiv, what's up?
Yeah, what's up? What's up? Nice to be here. Another UFC fight card.
We always say, dog, as always. So let's just get straight into it, dog. The first fight of the night was in the bantamweight division with Adrian Yanez and Randy Costa. Adrian Yanez getting the win via TKO in round 2. So tell me a little bit about this fight.
Honestly, Costa looked sharp in the first round. He had good jab punches in the first round. He hit a lot of early shots, but he managed to come back fairly quickly. Yanez actually started pressuring him, and within the last 90, I think it was like within the last 90 seconds of round 1, but like Costa started to slow down, and he looked kind of like gassed at the end of round 1. And in round 2, Yanez, he just began pressuring him again, and he hit him with like a good few jabs within the first 2 minutes into the second round. And Yanez dropped Costa with a body shot, and then like he followed it up with an uppercut, and just like a flurry of punches coming out to the end. Well, not to the end of the round, but right after that.
Yeah.
And he secured a dub with those punches, a TKO dub, and that was the end of the fights, basically.
Yeah. Great first fight to start the card off. And then we get into a lot of controversy. The first of 3 controversial fights. Not controversial fights, controversial decisions, I should say. Because we have in the flyweight division Miranda Maverick and Macy Barber, and somehow Macy Barber won via split decision, I believe. And it was a needed win for her because she had lost her last 2 fights and she was on a 2-fight losing streak. Before that, everything was looking good for her. She was undefeated. She's a young prospect flying up the flyweight division rankings, and she got kind of derailed. I think she tore her ACL or something like at the start of last year, and then on a comeback fight earlier this year, I believe she lost as well. So it's good that she got a win, but it certainly wasn't a win in the eyes of many, myself included, because Miranda Maverick, I thought, just dominated and did everything she needed to do to win the fight. I was very surprised when they called out the scorecards and Macy Barber won. But what do you think about her? And I'm getting your thoughts on the controversial decision.
So, I'll just go back a little bit regarding 2 losses. It was honestly to, I don't know if you remember, I think it was last week or week before at the fight card, there was a fighter, Alexa Grasso. She fought, that was Macy Barber's second loss, and her first loss was to a veteran in the UFC, Roxanne Modafferi, and that first loss, I think that was kind of the UFC pushing her a little too quick.
Yeah.
Back to this card. I think in the first round, Barber's having like a lot of trouble to find her range because Maverick was just pushing her against the fence, and it was kind of like, I don't want to say an even fight, but it was more Maverick for the first round.
Yeah.
And she outlanded her in striking within the first round, and the second round was more clinching and Barber getting a quick takedown, but she got some punches and elbows in.
Yeah.
Going into the third round, I honestly think it was round 1, Maverick. It was round 2. I think round 2 could have gone either way. I kind of had it going a little bit more towards Barber. And then the third round, Macy Barber kind of turned it on. I think she realized that she was maybe a little behind, and she turned it on in the third round, picked up a pace in the third round, and she managed to secure a decision win. So, I mean, you disagreed with that. I think a lot of people disagreed with that from what I was seeing on Twitter, but personally, I don't see anything wrong with it. But that's my little personal bias towards Macy Barber.
Yeah, no.
So what are you thinking about?
Well, in my notes here that I have written down, all I have under this fight is Bob only threw 6 punches in round one, and Maverick got robbed. That's all I have in my notes there. That's all I think everybody kind of really needs to know because yeah, I thought the first 2 rounds went to Maverick, and yeah, I'll give you the last round to Macy Barber. But I think by the time you get to round three, it was already Maverick had already done all she needed to do, and I thought she would have done enough to get the win. But the judges saw otherwise. But yeah, like I said, it's good for Macy Barber. I do like her as a fighter as well. I think she is the future of the flyweight division. But I don't think this was her win. Yes, it'll go down the record as her winning, but it is what it is. It's just unfortunate for Miranda Maverick, who probably does feel like the decision didn't go away, so she probably felt a little unlucky in that she could feel unlucky in that regard. But at the end of the day, a loss is a loss. You can't do anything about it. What the judges says goes. So she could learn from this loss. Probably, when you have somebody on the back foot to go and finish them, they always say never leave it in the judges' hands, and this is a prime example of why. But like I said, at the end of the day, it is what it is. Congratulations to Macy Barber. She got the win. She got a hand raise at the end of the night, and that's all you could really do when you're fighting.
Yeah, I feel like this fight because if you look at the ages of these two fighters, Macy is 23, Miranda is 24, and they are both around 13 and 14 respectively.
Yeah.
In this division. So like I think these two we could consider both of them prospects. They are both young. I think they are the future of the division. So I mean, like regardless, it was a good fight, and I think like this was needed. This was a needed win for Macy Barber, regardless of how it came.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna ask you. You mentioned both of their ages. Both of them are very young. Do you think this could possibly be the beginning of a heated rivalry between the two of them? Because you think all the great rivalries. Off the top of my head, there's DC and John Jones. There's Miocic and DC as well. And so there are rivalries. Do you think this could potentially be the beginning of a rivalry such as that?
I think if Macy manages to get a win streak going, and so does Miranda, they'll both eventually meet again. And I think like when that time comes, Miranda will be like, oh, this is my chance to claim a victory for a fight that she thinks she was robbed of, and like arguably a lot of fans think she was robbed of.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I could see this being they having a second go at this fight.
I would love to, but not right now. Like I said, let them spend some time apart, rack up some wins, shoot up the divisions even more, and then maybe they could have a fight to determine who would get the next title shot or something like that. I think that'd be really good for both of their careers.
I wanted to ask you this earlier, but you remember this fight? These cards taking place at the Apex, right? With the 25 feet octagon,
Yeah.
and that is a small octagon compared to the 30 feet octagon.
Mm-hmm.
And you think like that has any significance within this fight? And I would like to say the main event, because we'll get to the main event later, but there's a lot of space when you think about it. And
Yeah.
when you have fighters pressuring you, like Miranda was pressuring Barber for most of the fights,
It is hard to
they
maintain
don't have
distance.
anywhere to go. They get backed up against defense quickly.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of fights happening at the Apex because of that reason, because of the small octagon, because I do feel it does limit, certain people. It plays into the hands of some people, and it hurts a lot of people in some ways. So I think yes, it did play a big factor, even though it kind of benefited Miranda, but that's the thing. It benefited Miranda. It played into her hands, and she, and like I said, I thought she was able to take advantage of it, but in the judges' eyes, clearly not. And yeah, Macy Barber probably escapes with one there. But if they do rematch and perhaps on the undercard of a main event in the future or something, and they do get to any proper regular size octagon, I think Macy Barber would have a better performance against her because like you said, she'll be able to have more space, be able to move around, maintain distance, flick out the jab, and keep Miranda at distance if they do rematch.
I agree with that.
Yeah, so let's move on to the next fight. That just take as the flyweight fight there. So moving on to the featherweight fight between Darren Elkins and Derek Minner. Darren Elkins, the owner of probably the worst tattoo in UFC history. The big, you know what I'm talking about?
Damage.
Yeah, no, that's so terrible though. I don't know he had to have lost a bet for that though. I don't think you could look at that and say, yeah, I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna put it big and bold on my chest. So whenever I take off my shirt for a fight, everybody gonna see it.
It actually was like, that's probably the worst tattoo that he ever seen.
Yeah, no, I
And
don't blame him though. That probably is the worst tattoo I've ever seen.
yeah,
But yeah, tattoos aside, let's talk about the fight. So for this one in round one, Elkins, he was in a very scary looking armbar, but he did manage to slip out. But Minna really did, stay on the ground, try to dominate him, and he he at the end of the round, I think like the last like 90 seconds or something, Minna ended up on top and he just stayed in that top position to just hold him there. And it seemed like for him to just get a quick break and quick recover because of all the work he did on the ground and pound with the armbar and all the submission attempts. And because he was really, kind of shooting really fast and very quick and in quick succession, a lot of strikes at once at a time, twice at a time. So that really kind of burnt him out a lot, and that was evident in the second round because in the second round, Minna did go in and he did get a takedown early, and I noticed he did something that Khabib used to do a lot. And I don't mean to, send you through some PTSD, but if you remember the Conor McGregor Khabib fight, whenever Khabib got the takedown, he would go on top of him, and Khabib would use one of his legs to scoop up the Conor's both legs, cross them over, and trap them between both of Khabib's legs. And I kind of extend it out, if you know what I'm talking about.
yeah,
Yeah. So I noticed he was doing that. Minnow was doing that a lot, and they eventually got into a position where Minnow tried to go for a guillotine, I believe it was, but then it failed, and Elkins popped his head right on it. Elkins pushed him back. Elkins eventually got on top. He got top control, and he moved over into the crucifix, and he just started to pound away at Minnow. And Minnow was just so exhausted, so tired after the first round. He couldn't do anything but just lay there and take it. And the fight could have been called there, but the ref allowed him to stay in it, but nothing changed. It was just more the same ground and pound domination from Elkins, who scored a comeback win in his return. I believe he stopped him, 3 minutes and 48 seconds into the second round and got a TKO win, sorry. So yeah, like I said, it was a really good start for him, but he blew his load in the first round. The guillotine attempt really finished him off because I think it expunged the last bit of energy he had trying to get that finish, get that guillotine submission, and he didn't get it because Elkins got out and he finished him there. He did what he needed to do. What was your thoughts on this fight?
honestly, you mentioned Khabib, right?
Yeah.
And Elkins, I don't want to compare him to Khabib in any sort of way, but the only thing that I could think of is, like, how Khabib used to just tire out his opponents.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that is something that Elkins did in this fight, where he just tired out, like he just let Miller. Honestly, I saw a tweet, and the tweet was like, Darren Elkins just lets everybody 10 him until they get tired, and then he finishes them, or he breaks them, or whatever. Like honestly, it kind of hard to disagree against that,
Yeah, he just likes to give them a head start, dog. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, fair play to him, because it worked out, but then this fight against Derek Miller. So
yeah, because this like I said, it's something that he does a lot. He always like lets his opponent, try to bep him up in the first round, then he just comes back stronger in the second, and by that time his opponent's already tired and exhausted. So yeah, it's just what he does. He damage himself. That's his nickname too, right?
Yeah, that's why he actually got out.
That's horrible. Though. I don't know how you could let somebody do that. If I ever do something stupid like that, you have full permission to beat me. But
yeah, I'll take you up on also.
I know it's recorded, so everybody listening is witnesses. So let's just jump straight into the co-main event there. Kyler Phillips and versus Pavia. I'm not gonna pronounce his first name. If you watched the show last week, I struggle with hard to pronounce names. But yeah, this was the second controversial decision because if I remember correctly, Phillips came out and swinging and was dropping him with shots and elbows and the whole lot. This was honestly probably a 10-8 first round to me. And after that, Pavia, but if you look at the punch numbers, the statistic numbers between rounds 2 and 3, Pavia did outstrike him, but only by like 3, 4, or 5, not that much. But the judges saw it as good enough, and he got the win. Yeah, so what are you going to say?
Yeah, I was going to say yes, I would strike him, but like, I don't know what they count as significant strikes, because to me, Phillips was doing way more damage with his punches compared to Pave's punches because, like, I mean, if you look at the end of the fight, who was on the floor, who was on the mat, and who was standing bouncing around their feet, it was Phillips.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and in my opinion, I think that the first round was a 10 round. Um, Pave did have his moments in both the second and third round. I think he kind of turned it up in those rounds. Like maybe his coaches at the during the 30 seconds break, probably told him, hey, yeah, that was probably a 10 round. He needs to change it up right now.
Mm-hmm.
But like, let's just see you give round two to Pave. I honestly think Phillips did more than enough to secure that win with his performance in round 3.
Mm-hmm. Well, you see, this is where I kind of, differ from you because I'm gonna be honest. If I was the judge of this fight, I would have given it as a draw. 10 the first round, but I think Pavia took the second and third rounds because yeah, he did a little bit. He wasn't doing as much damage, but he was doing everything he needed to do. It's it's actually kind of fun because this is like the first two things we kind of disagree on big about this night. So it's kind of funny. Um,
Yeah. But like honestly, yeah. Even in my notes right now, right before even the decision got before Bruce Buffer even announced the decision, I put a clear unanimous decision for Kyler Phillips because I gave him round 3-1, and honestly, I think round 2 could have gone either way. But like I said, I think Pavi did enough to
yeah.
get that win for that round. But
And it was
I
just
mean,
it's just really a dog
Stevie
fight.
Wonder judging these fights, so
Yeah, we're talking about Stevie Wonder and his judging and stuff. But this is really a dog fight. Like it was both men were just out there punching the absolute crap out of each other, complete slugfest. And it actually got fight of the night. Interestingly enough, I just opened Instagram and the first thing I saw was the UFC posted that it got fight of the night, which is it's a testament because both of them were really swinging for the fences. 32nd and third round at least, but not so much Pavia in the first round, but for the second and third round they were absolute swinging both ways, and yeah, just went the way of Pavia this time. Unfortunate for Phillips though because I backed him to win.
yes,
Yeah. Before we jump into the main event, I know you want to talk a little bit about something, so I will let you do so right now.
yeah. So for this card, like if you look at like we mentioned it earlier on with Macy Baba and Miranda Maverick, I was looking at this card earlier this week and I was like, this is kind of a card with the future of women's MMA because there was Macy Baba, who I mentioned was 23 years old, Miranda Maverick, who is 24.
Mm-hmm.
And we had Aspen Ladd, who was supposed to be on this card, but I believe her opponent, Macy Cherson, pulled out from this fight. I think with an injury.
So I think it was an injury there. So
And yeah, and for people who don't know, Aspen Ladd is she's 26, by the way. And so like that is giving you like a little info on their age, like how young they are compared to other fighters on the card on the roster. Sorry, she has a 9-1 record, and her only loss was to Jermaine Durandamy, who is the former bantamweight champion.
Yeah.
So I mean that's kind of like
that's not bad, isn't
expected loss. Yeah, and by the way, 6 knockouts, and she actually KO'd. Her last fight was in December 2019. She was out for over a year with a torn ACL. But her last fight was against somebody who we saw fight a couple of weeks ago in Yana Kunitskaya. She actually knocked her out in that December 2019 fight.
Yeah.
And
Kunitskaya fought recently, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, she fought I believe 2 weeks ago. I think so.
Yeah, I think she lost that fight.
Yeah, and her opponent's supposed to be Macy Cherson, who has a 7-1 record, and she's ranked number 9. And Aspen Ladd is ranked number 3? Yeah, number 3 in the division. So I mean, I was actually looking forward to this fight, but unfortunately, it didn't happen. So I actually hope to see Aspen Ladd fight, hopefully sooner than later. Honestly.
Yeah,
I think she's someone to look out for.
Yeah, I was really looking forward to her fights as well, but it's just really unfortunate. I wish that something like this would happen, not so close to fight night because it happened like 2 or 3 days ago, I believe. So if it would happen early and they were able to get a replacement fight for it, would have been really good. should have probably won because when people step in on short notice, they tend to lose. But it would have still been nice to see her at least fight and perform on this card. But unfortunately, we were robbed of it. Speaking of robbery, by the way, the main event, TJ Dillashaw and Corey Sandhagen. It was a split decision for TJ Dillashaw. Before we had to say anything, and you guys should know that me and Rajiv, we do this thing on Fridays every weekend for every fight card, where we try to predict who's gonna win, which fighters are gonna win, and uh, right before when the card started, I just get a message. You picked TJ Dillashaw, and I was like, yeah, because I was backing the boy, but when right before the fight started, I kind of lost all confidence in him because I was like, yeah. Now when I think about it, he's like what 35 now. He's been out for over a year. It's kind of ropey for him, but the reason why I chose him was because I believe they used to be sparring partners, if I'm not mistaken. So
Yeah, you're right. Sir.
yeah, and the reason I would pick TJ Dillashaw is because they were sparring partners, and TJ Dillashaw has a lot more experience. He was the former champ, if I'm not mistaken, and he has the experience to fight 5 rounds. He knows the guy, Corey Sandhagen because they used to train together. And I said, if it's one person who could, after a long layoff, come back and beat up a good contender, it's TJ Dillashaw. But I don't think he honestly did it tonight. The first round. What happened in the first round again? Because I didn't take any notes for this. I don't figure out what happened in the first round. Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Sandhagen hit a flying knee, and there was like a big scramble on the ground. He got him in a kind of triangle. He got TJ Dillashaw in a kind of triangle, a head triangle, and he was able to get out of that. And it was kind of back and forth because, yeah, this was a very close round. This was the first round. This was the close round, right?
No, no. The first round was I believe TJ Dillashaw was just pressuring him for most of the first round, and I do believe that happened the way you just said. But yeah, it was a close. It was not close round actually. It was I give it a 10-9 for TJ Dillashaw.
Yeah, so did I.
Yeah, and TJ Dillashaw he looked. I don't know if when the round started, I was like, okay, he's pressuring him against the fence. I don't know if he's trying to like finish this fight quick, or that was his strategy to pressure him and kind of mess up his movements and like create openings for himself to hit Sandhagen. But like going further into the fight, like it became clear that was his strategy to pressure him and get him up against the fence.
Yeah, before we get into further into the fight, I didn't mean to cut you off, but a big thing that happened in round one that I think we need to talk about is so Corey Sandhagen did have a kind of leg lock, kind of locked in. So he was holding on to his leg while TJ was standing up. And he kind of bent the leg forward, and TJ mentioned that he felt something pop in his knee after. So that was obviously a big talking point about that first round.
Yeah, that happened. And even after that round ended, I think you could see TJ like he was bouncing around on his knee, but like he wasn't doing it like in terms of trying to create something or trying to move around. He was kind of doing it.
It's like testing me to see what it could take.
Yeah, to see like what it was wrong with it, to try and figure it out. And I don't know if he figured it out or if it was just like maybe I don't know what happened, but
I think
he seemed to be fine on it afterwards.
Yeah, I think he just said, you know what, I'm gonna just ignore this pain in the left knee screaming out to me right now. I'm just gonna ignore that for now. Deal with it later, and I'm just gonna focus on the fight right now, which is a elite mentality to have for a fighter, to be honest. If that's what happened, or if he just kind of shook off the injuries, like it wasn't as bad after because he had the adrenaline flowing in him as well.
Yeah, maybe it's that, and also like he's under these lights for what the first time in 2 years.
Or like a year and a half.
Yeah. So he has to kind of ignore it and focus on all this pressure that he has on himself to pull out a win from this fight, and he's fighting, I believe, the number 2 guy in the division.
Yeah, this shakes up the entire bantamweight division, but we'll talk about that a little bit later.
But going into the second round, I do not know, apart from that first round, how this fight finished, the way it finished. Because as much as Dillashaw was pressuring him in the second round, Sandhagen actually opened up a big cut between his eyes and
between them,
between
but like
TJ Dillashaw's eyes and blood was flowing into his eyes.
it
And
was like
Houdin actually stopped the fight
it's right
for a
above
minute. And
his eye.
yeah,
Yeah, it's mad.
so yeah, I don't. So that was a talking point for that second round.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And
and I believe Sandhagen actually outstruck him in this round. What do you think it went?
yeah, I think this was a Corey Sandhagen round definitely because he was doing all the right things. He was keeping distance. He was flicking on the jab. He was hitting him with some good 1-2s and he hit him with a good 1-2-3, I believe. And I believe he hit him with a 1-2. He kept hitting him with 1-2s, and then eventually hit him with a 1-2-3. And the three actually dropped TJ for a little bit, but he was able to spring right back up. But he was still just getting absolutely bepped up in this second round, and the bloody eye wasn't helping because there was blood spewing all over that eye. And I heard DC mention on commentary it feels like it's an absolute burning sensation. And I can imagine that because, you have this thing point straight into the eye. You can't like stop to, see about it because you have to stop the guy from punching in the face. And, when you see a cut like that on your opponent, you're going to attack, especially if it's by the face, by the eye, because, it's something that, could cause a doctor stoppage. And when I saw the cut open up and I just saw, like, how TJ was getting busted up, I was like, yeah, this looks like the beginning of the end there. And Corey Sandhagen is a guy who notoriously finishes his fights relatively quick. I believe he has the second shortest cage time amongst active bantamweights with like 6 minutes or something. So typically his fights only go past the first round, like the first minute in the second round. So yeah, after the second round finish, I was like, yeah, this is where Corey's really gonna start, turn it up, keep the pressure on, and really gonna get the win going into the third round. And yeah, so I have this definitely as a Corey Sandhagen round. So to me, it's 1-1, and I believe to you it's 1-1 as well, right? After 2 rounds.
Yeah, it's 1-1 after 2 rounds.
Right. So going into round 3, what happened in round 3? Because I remember giving this round to TJ Dillashaw because he kept the pressure, he kept getting closer, and he kept firing away some good strikes. And I believe this is when TJ really started to attack the left leg of Corey Sandhagen during the stand-up exchanges, just kept swinging and kept biting and kept attacking that left leg of Corey Sandhagen. And Corey Sandhagen, he wasn't checking them at all. Very Conor McGregor-esque, trying to eat all those leg kicks.
Yeah, see, like, this is what I don't understand about these fighters, right? Like, it's not to say, like, leg kicks is something new and you don't know how to deal with them. Like, if you've been watching fights just within the past 6 months in 2021,
Yeah, it's been
you see the amount of damage a leg kick would do to a fighter. So you think it's a smart idea to at least check some of them.
Yeah, the biggest
so
example
like your opponent would be hesitant to throw them.
If you want to see somebody who absolutely just eats away at your legs for leg kicks, look at Israel Adesanya his past 2 wins against Paulo Costa and Marvin Vettori. He just absolutely on the stand up, control the striking games, and just kept eating away at those legs, and he eventually got the win because of it. So yeah, I don't understand how people don't check the leg kicks, and we've seen how effective checking some leg kicks could be. The Uriah Hall and Chris Weidman is a good example of that. The less said about that, the better. Speaking of Uriah Hall, he's in action next week, but we'll talk about that a little later. So yeah, I had this round going to TJ, and he really started to get into it. He started to swing with more power, more force, and he just really seemed to brush off whatever knee injury that was at the end of the first round. And he really started to come back into the fight, and I had it as a 10-9 to TJ Dillashaw. How do you score this round?
Yeah, I had it at 10-9 as well. I think he got a couple of takedowns. He didn't really do much with it. I think Sandhagen kind of was on his back, but he was also throwing strikes from his back. He was throwing elbows and up kicks and all of that. And yeah, so I believe he got a couple of takedowns, but like I said, he didn't really do much with it.
Yeah,
but I still give it a 10-9 to TJ Dillashaw. So right now it's 2-1 in favor of Dillashaw.
Yeah.
Winning to the fourth.
Was this there was the end of one of the rounds where Corey Sandhagen swung right late after the bell? Was it the end of this round?
No, it was not late after the bell. It was on the bell.
No, partner, don't comment now. No, you see the started thing here. That was way after the bell.
No. Actually, like on the show itself, they went back and DC himself said that I was thrown on the bell. So it wasn't like it was 30 seconds after. It wasn't 30 seconds after.
No, it was like a good 2 seconds after the bell, dog.
I don't remember Saunders take time to travel, so
Saunders, dog, quick Saunders travel. But yeah, anyways, so going to the fourth round, it is 2-1 for TJ, and this fourth round I gave to Corey Sandhagen because he was doing more avoiding in the second round, keeping distance, keeping some range because he's obviously a much taller guy. I'm not sure exactly the how much taller he is, but I know he is quite a bit taller and has quite a bit of reach on him. So yeah, he was using that effectively, keeping him at range, keep bepping him up with the 1-2, keep attacking that cut over the eye. One thing I need to say though, I need to commend TJ Dillashaw's Cutman. He did an extremely good job stopping the bleeding in between rounds, and he really kept his eye in the fight and kept TJ in the fight at some points really, because if that cut doesn't get taken care of, that fight definitely gets stopped in the third or fourth round. But yeah, Corey Sandhagen kept doing everything he needed to do, kept the range as best as he can because, as you mentioned earlier, it is in the apex, so we do have the smaller ring. So yeah, he was trying to keep the range as best as he can, but TJ just kept coming forward, eating these shots, and kept pressuring him, like you said. And something TJ did throughout the fight was he kept getting back and just kept holding him up against the cage and just pounding his knees into Corey Sandhagen's legs. So that's kind of something he did throughout all 5 rounds. I think I sent you a message at like somewhere through the fourth round. I was like, I feel like I've watched the same round 4 times in a row because it was basically the same thing.
I mean, you said pound and his knees into the back of Corey Sandhagen. Like I see it more as TJ Dillashaw peak touch, but with Corey Sandhagen because
you say that,
if I wasn't that,
I say you say that there, but a knee, if you get collected, that'll hurt, dog. I don't care when it says that will hurt.
That knee from like 2 inches away from the mark. So,
dog, you never collect a knee before. That thing does hurt, dog. Your knees and the elbows are the two hardest spots in your body, so.
What science class you was on?
What was that?
What science class you went to?
I pick up some bio teacher. I know you're not listening, but he's a real cool fella. But nah, dog, I'm telling you, dog, that shit will hurt, dog. And this is kind of the, kind of bad side about UFC and MMA is because I feel like they value wrestling a lot more than they do striking sometimes. And I think this is a good prime example of that.
You think so?
Fight. Yeah, dog, obviously, because I think, like, okay, so jumping the gun a little bit, I had Corey Sandhagen win this fourth round and the fifth round, so I thought it would have been a Sandhagen win, but clearly the rest do value this not ground control, but, control against the fence and, like little clinch strikes and things like that. They clearly value that a lot more than, stand-up boxing, kickboxing, stuff like that.
Yeah, but, alright, so you said that, right?
Yeah.
But also, go back to the Macy Barber Miranda Maverick fight when Miranda had her back up against the cage and was like holding her against the cage. She was landing knees to the midsection, knees to like front of her legs, and like you said, like look where that fight went. That fight went to Macy Barber and not Miranda Maverick.
Yeah.
So to me, it's more like the judges favor certain people when they fight because like Macy Barber is a biggest like quote unquote star compared to Miranda Maverick.
Yeah, so you can
Dillashaw is a bigger star than Sandhagen. So I think it all depends on who's fighting who.
That's a good point you raised there. That's a really good point you raised there too.
Yeah, and also from the fights that I've seen, they value striking way more than wrestling. But like when it comes to a fight like this, where you mentioned, Dillashaw had him against cage and was landing those knees to the back of his leg.
Yeah, because I think
I see a point where you said they value the wrestling over the striking because they clearly give Dillashaw this round.
Yeah, and I don't understand how because in the stand-up, Corey Sandhagen was doing everything right. Throughout the fight, Corey Sandhagen is a very explosive fighter. His last 2 wins, with 2 finishes, came from explosive finishes. One was a flying knee. I can't remember what the other one was off the top of my head, but yeah, dog, explosive moves like that. And whenever he tried those explosive moves, TJ Dillashaw would time it perfectly and either get the back or get a takedown or get him up against the fence. And that's really where he lost the fight. The reason I think he won the 5th round was because he really didn't try none of that flashy, explosive kind of spin and move thing. He did exactly what he needed to do, kept it simple, kept it basic, kept it as a kickboxing match, which if he kept it as a kickboxing match throughout the whole thing, he would have definitely won and even gotten a stop at some point through the fight. But,
Right.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so to counter that point, right? It had a couple of moments within it. I believe it's like either the second or the third round. Actually, both those rounds, where Sandhagen threw a flying knee, and he actually connected to TJ Dillashaw's chin. As TJ
Yeah, he has a mad
managed
chin.
to film it.
Yeah, he has a mad chin. And yeah, going back to because in the first round when he hit the flying knee, I believe he kind of cut TJ on the bridge of his nose too. And like I said, he got him in a kind of a relatively decent kind of triangle position. But I think that's where your coaches need to come into play. After what was it, the second? No, yeah, after the third round, where you just see, whenever you try the explosive things that's not working, he's grabbing your back and pushing you up against the fence. I think that's when you need to tell him, all right, screw all that. Yes, it does work, but clearly it's not working against him. He knows you. He could time it perfectly. He could time you with your explosive strikes perfectly and get you on the back. So this is why you need to, screw all that, keep it fundamental, keep it basic, and keep it as a regular kickboxing match. And that was his key to victory there.
Maybe they didn't say that because they were hoping, with the blood and the cuts on TJ Dillashaw's face, they were hoping like, okay, maybe that might impair his vision a little bit, and maybe Sandhagen could score. I don't want to say a lucky one, but score, a solid flying knee or a solid kick that would hurt Dillashaw, and you'd be able to finish him on the feet.
Yeah.
So you also need to take that into consideration, but regardless, I do agree with what you just said. His coaches should have said, hey, this not working. Let's keep it a kickboxing match.
Yeah, because you're winning. When it's a kickboxing match, you're winning. So let's keep it at that. Mm-hmm. Yes, he wants to try to pressure you. Yes, he wants to try to do that, but you just have to keep, flicking the jab out, keeping the strikes out, keeping him at a distance. Because when he was doing that, I believe in one of the corner interviews, TJ said himself he was being lazy. That's why he's getting, picked up, and that's why he's getting, his head bepped up. And so, legit, if Corey just kept doing that, kept bepping his head up, keep attacking that face, that huge cut on the eye, you would have won. But I don't know, man. He just didn't want to do it. And because of that, it's TJ Dillashaw's first fight since I believe January 2019. He comes and absolutely shakes up the bantamweight division because Corey Sandhagen was the second-ranked bantamweight right now, and who's number one? Peter Yan, who had that disqualification with Aljamain Sterling, who's the current champion. So obviously they're gonna run it again. I believe they're gonna run it back soon, sometime in September or October. Yeah. So they're gonna run that back soon. And in his post-fight interview, TJ Dillashaw says he wants a championship fight. So this is what. So where does this leave the bantamweight rankings in the UFC? Because it's completely shaken up now.
I'm looking at the rankings right now.
Yeah,
and obviously mentioned Sandhagen being the number 2. TJ Dillashaw actually is not ranked because he was out for those 2 years, and you really think that when these was a number 2 spot, like that fight, I believe is Sandhagen's fight. Mm-hmm. So regardless, it's going to change it. It's a win in the history books. So, let's just say Aljamain Sterling and Peter Yan are out. They are gonna fight for each title in October.
There's one name I'm looking at here who I think will have a good fight with him now. But I'll say that after him. So yeah, so going to what you're saying, you think Peter Yan and Aljamain Sterling, they're obviously gonna have to duke it out, so they're eliminated from the picture. Corey Sandhagen just beat. So yeah, what are you saying?
I was thinking maybe you give Dillashaw another fight.
Yeah, but against who?
Rob Font.
Oh, you see, I was thinking Jose Aldo,
No, Jose Aldo has a fight coming up, I believe.
He does? Oh, yes, I believe he's fighting on UFC 265.
On the 265 card.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Who's he fighting?
Pedro Munoz, who is currently ranked number 8 in the bantamweight division.
Oh, jeez.
So...
yeah, so I guess it kind of leaves it open for Rob Font, TJ Dillashaw fight then. Because I believe
Yeah,
he said he
because they're
wants
not
to
going
win
to do
top
the
five.
Garbrandt fights anymore. That
That's
beat
yeah,
Dillashaw twice.
that's back. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
not what we're doing in 2021.
hmm
Yeah, so the Rob
So
Font fight would be an interesting fight for him. But
yeah, how you think that fight will go though?
uh, I don't
Based
know.
on based on Dillashaw's performance tonight and based on Rob Font's performance against Cody Garbrandt.
I don't know though because going into this fight, like I said, I know TJ Dillashaw is a dog. I know he could do what it takes to win. And I mean, technically, he did do that tonight. So I mean, it's kind of hard to bet against somebody who knows what it takes, what he needs to do to win in sticky situations like TJ Dillashaw found himself in tonight. So it's hard to bet against him when he just showed that. But at the end of the day, it was a close fight. It was a coin flip fight, so it could have gone anyway. But I still think Rob Font would pull out the win if they do fight. But TJ Dillashaw, I wouldn't be too upset or too surprised, actually, I should say, if TJ Dillashaw does win that fight if they do hypothetically fight. But keep out the hypotheticals. Let's just say TJ Dillashaw does win that fight. The Aljamain Sterling and Peter Yan rematch goes ahead. Who do you think will win that one? Just a quick prediction. Who do you think will win?
Honestly, Peter Yan gonna
Yeah,
smoke Aljamain.
I think so too, based on how the last fight was going. Okay, so let's hypothetically say PTN is the champion again, and TJ Dillashaw just be the second and third ranked guy. Does that open a title shot for him against Peter Yan, or do you think he still has to go through Aljamain Sterling first?
No, that is a immediate title shot. Like honestly, they might even do it depending on how that Aljamain Sterling and Peter Yan fight goes. So you never really know. But yeah, I think the UFC would kind of push for that Dillashaw versus whoever is the champion after October.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that's going to be the fight to make. How do you think it'll go?
I think just Peter Yan is too dominant right now. I think if they were to fight, assuming Peter Yan beats Aljamain Sterling in their rematch, I think Peter Yan would pull out the win. But this fight alone has proved that crazy things can happen in the UFC when TJ Dillashaw fights.
Um, we're talking about the bantamweight division right now, right?
Right.
Completely unrelated, but who you think next for another? So there was another big name in this division. He's not currently ranked, and his name is Sugar Sean O'Malley. And he called out Rob Font, he called out Cody Garbrandt, and he called out somebody else. I cannot remember off the top of my head.
A Cody Garbrandt fight with Sugar Sean will be something I'm kind of interested in.
Honestly, I think Sugar Sean is gonna smoke Garbrandt. I don't know how it's gonna go against Rob Font.
I think so too.
But honestly, I don't think I would bet against Sugar Sean. I don't think I would bet against him. I think he could pull this out.
He needs to sort out whatever is wrong with his ankle.
He has good movement with his feet.
Yeah, but he needs to sort out whatever is wrong with his ankle though, because it's been giving him issues for some time now.
However, whenever he needs to fight, I do not want to see him fight at the Apex. I really do not want to see him fight at the Apex. That cage is way too small for him. Yeah. I prefer the standard 30 feet octagon. So yeah, like I said, that might be a fight to make, but actually, that's a good the lineup in the bantamweight division. Have Dillashaw fight Rob Font, have Sugar Sean fight either Cody Garbrandt, who I believe turned down the fight actually when he called him out.
Oh, for real?
But there's also Frankie Edgar, who's coming off a loss to Corey Sandhagen, so maybe throw him in there with Sugar Sean, see what he does.
Maybe, yeah. But I think it is time Sugar Sean does. Yeah, I think it is time Sugar Sean O'Malley does challenge somebody in the top 15. I believe, looking at it right now, Marlon Vera, that's the guy he lost to, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's 13. He's ranked number 13 right now. So I think it's time Sugar Sean calls out somebody, well, not calls out, fight somebody in the top 15 and break into the rankings so he could, progress and sort of become a contender.
I just saw the name that he called out, the other name that he called out, and he was on commentary tonight. It was Dominic Cruz.
Oh
So
shit,
yeah,
that
so
is
I
an
actually
interesting
wouldn't
one.
mind seeing that fight.
Yeah, that's a good fight to make too, though.
So yeah, I mean like there's a lot going on in the bantamweight division right now. So I mean,
And it's
we
good
have we have this
because
title fight coming up, and
it's good
TJ
because
Dillashaw here now win.
yeah, it's like I said, it completely shakes up entire bantamweight rankings, and it's good because typically the smaller weight classes for the guys, it's not really all that interesting, but now it's a lot interesting in both the bantamweight and flyweight divisions. So it's looking up for the smaller divisions in the UFC.
Yeah,
But
I think because sorry, not to cut you off, but like I think
yeah,
it's because of the personalities of the top, like I'd say like top three, and also Sugar Sean, because like you have Brandon Moreno on top, you have Mission Impossible,
yeah,
Davison Figueroa, you have Israel Adesanya's training partner, Kai Kara France, ranked number 7 in flyweight.
mhm.
So it's two divisions who seem to be growing, and fans, because people wouldn't really watch them fight before, but now they heavily invested.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And I feel like too, there was like always like a dominant champion on these lower divisions. I think the likes of Mighty Mouse back in the day. So it's good to
uh-huh.
have some change, some not as dominant champions. But I think we do have one in Peter Yan and Brandon Moreno, because I think Brandon Moreno is head and shoulders above everybody in that division. But that's that division. In terms of Peter Yan, who do you think is the closest to beat him in this division? Could it be TJ Dillashaw?
No, no.
Jesus,
Honestly, I
alright.
think the closest person to beat him would have been Corey Sandhagen.
Serious.
Yeah,
I can see
and
that
like
too,
I think he has the footwork. He has that Dominic Cruz style footwork. He can control distance. He clearly has a chin on him because he took some shots tonight.
Yeah.
Um, he has the least, like you mentioned earlier, he has like the least cage time. He always finishes his fights quickly. I believe this is one of his first fights that went into the fifth round. And
Yeah, I believe so as
yeah,
well. Yeah.
so that would be my pick to finish Peter Yan. But I mean, who you had in mind?
Yeah, same Corey. It's Corey Sandhagen, to be honest, because looking at the other guys in the ranking division, I don't think anybody comes close except Corey Sandhagen. I mean, you never know. Aljamain Sterling, he has fought him now. Aljamain Sterling surely knows how bad he did in that first fight, and really he needs to understand how lucky he is to get the title. So I think once Aljamain Sterling works on his deficiencies, he could probably do it as well. But I highly doubt that, and I would still say Corey Sandhagen probably is the best bet to beat Peter Yan. But speaking of Corey Sandhagen, where does he go now after this loss?
Um, so we talked about Garbrandt, not Garbrandt,
Jose
Dillashaw
Aldo?
potentially either fighting the winner of Yan versus Sterling or Rob Font. So I think like the next person, like let's be real, Sandhagen isn't gonna fight for maybe like another couple of months or something,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So depending on how Jose Aldo versus Pedro Munoz
Yeah,
goes,
he
if
could get the
Jose
winner in
Aldo
that
could
fight.
pull out that win, yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing Sandhagen versus Aldo, because that would kind of help Sandhagen hold his position in this division.
Yeah, because I mean, he lost. And well, this brings up another question: where does CJ Dillashaw get crack into the rankings again? Because if he does, where do you put him after he beat the number two guy? You know, do you plop him straight at number two? Do you put him like somewhere in the middle of the pack? So where do you think the TJ Dillashaw would be ranked come Monday morning?
To be honest, I think it's so unfair to put him at number two.
It is, but he beat the number two guy, so it's such a hard. Like I said, it
He
just completely shakes
didn't
up the
really beat
entire
number two, like,
bantamweight
I mean,
division.
he beat him on paper.
Yeah, so this right, but at the end of the day, a win is a win, a loss is a loss. That's just how it goes down on the official record. So that's why I say it
See, like
completely shakes
the
up
hard
the
part of
bantamweight division. What's that?
I said that's the hard part about the sport, because like you have decision wins like that,
Yeah,
and it's so unfair to put somebody who's been out for 2 years, who didn't like he didn't dominate Sunny, and he arguably won 2 rounds out of that 5 round fight. So it's like it's so unfair to put him at number 2. I
Yeah.
believe Rob Hunt beat Cody Garbrandt in his last fight, so you can't move him from number 3. Jose Aldo's actually on a losing streak, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I think he got a win in his last fight. You know.
Um, so let's just leave him at number 4 for now.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, um, maybe put him at like number. Wait, didn't Kyler Phillips lose tonight? Did he lose tonight? That's the guy who fought yeah, he did lose tonight.
Yeah, he did.
Put him at number 14.
Probably.
But put Dillashaw at 15 because like Cody Starman would go up to 14. I'd like to think.
Yeah, and kind of
So
flip just
put
drops off.
Dillashaw at 15.
Okay, but this also brings up the question: does the guy who beat Kyler Phillips, does he move into the top 15 as well? So it's a very weird thing. Like I said, the entire bantamweight division has been shaken up well and truly.
Yeah, the thing is, like, I don't know how they rank these fighters, like what they base it on.
Yeah.
I mean, like, clearly, obviously, it's the wins, but like, I mean,
when you have a situation
so
like this,
hard. Yeah, when you have this kind of situation, to just put somebody who came off after 2 years, um, and he didn't really dominate in this fight. He, it's so uh, hard to just put them at number 2.
mm-hmm.
So I don't know where it leads Dillashaw for this division.
This kind of reminds me, like, totally unrelated. This kind of reminds me of, do you remember the Leon Edwards and Nate Diaz fight?
Yeah.
Well, if Nate Diaz won, this is what we'd have been talking about with the welterweight division. Like, what would happen? Because it would send the welterweight division into free fall. Because a guy who's been outed for so long comes and beats one of the highly ranked guys in the division. So it kind of shakes things up. But so this is exactly what could have been. But I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. We'll see. We'll see what happens Monday morning. But if you had to put some money on it, what are you saying for the rankings? The bantamweight division. What are you saying?
Honestly, I think the UFC, knowing the kind of nonsense they do sometimes, I wouldn't be surprised if I wake up Monday morning and I see Dillashaw at number 2 because honestly, though, they do so much nonsense with these rankings. Like even the fighters, at some point came out and say, these rankings are BS. So it's like
it's weird. It's a weird one. But I think we kind of cover all points regarding this card. Do you have anything else you want to say about this card before we move on to like the preview of what's next?
The only thing I have to say about this card is Macy Barber clearly won that fight.
No, that's cap.
And Corey Sandhagen clearly won this fight.
Yes.
And what was the other fight that we disagreed on?
The co-main, hold on.
I'd like to pronounce this man name Raul, or whatever his name is. The Phillips versus Pavia fight.
Yeah.
Kyler Phillips clearly won that. So like that would be my closing points. We do need better judges because clearly.
For sure. I'm very interested. I'm very interested to know what Dana White has to say about the results tonight. I'm very interested to know what he has to say because I know he's a fella. He's talking about it.
Yeah. So honestly, I don't know. Knowing Dana White, like he might just push that Dillashaw win down our throats because he knows Dillashaw's a big name, but
you like his money.
Yeah. So I feel like Dana White would kind of side with the decision, but like I wouldn't be surprised if he disagrees as well because he's outspoken with his decisions.
Yeah.
So.
That's
really all I need to say on this about this card so far.
Yeah, well, that wraps up this card. So just a little preview of what's coming next 2 weeks. We have another fight night next weekend, but it is headlined by Uriah Hall and Sean Strickland in the middleweight division. But other than that, it's not really a strong card per se. But after that, we do have UFC 265 with Derek Lewis and Cyril Gane, and Amanda Nunes and Juliana Pena. So we have 2 cards coming up. Main event one to look forward to, and a pay-per-view to look forward to as well. And yeah, on the Uriah Hall versus Sean Strickland card, we have Shamil Aber Abarakimanov. Completely butchered that name. I think pretty sure based on that name, he's one of the Dagestani guys with Khabib and Islam, and he's taking on Chris Dukas, yeah, him, and they're heavyweights. Wow, I didn't realize that. So
for real? Yeah.
I thought they would have been like lightweights or something, but yeah, they're heavyweights. Didn't see that one coming. In the strawweights, we have Cheyenne Bies versus Gloria DePaul. In the bantamweight division, we have Kang Quing Ho versus Rani Yanha.
Dog,
you see what Dana White doing, dog? He put all the people with hard names to pronounce on this card, dog, because nobody gonna watch it. But we have Sam Alvey versus Roman Kopylov, dog. Again, dog, this is like surely it just kicks the dog. You can have a Y and a L right next to each other, dog. Anyways, and then in the first fight of that main card, we do have Brian Barberena versus Jason Witt. Nice and easy name to pronounce. But yeah, that's that card. And then for the main event, we could find out some quick predictions here. We have, starting the main card, we have Song Yadong versus Casey Kenny. What are you thinking about for that fight?
This is for what they do versus game fights?
Yeah, this is the first card on that main card. The first fight of the main card, yeah, for the Derek Lewis Cyril Gane card.
Well, that didn't show up for me. So, who was the first fight?
Song Yadong versus Casey Kenny. I'll look at it on Google.
I would put Song Yadong for that fight, honestly.
Yeah, so would I. In the welterweight, we have Michael Chiesa and Vicente Luque. What are you saying for that one?
See, this is a hard one for me because I like Chiesa, but it's like I was also leaning more towards Luque. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I feel like I'd lean towards Luque for this fight.
Vicente Luque?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Jose Aldo versus Pedro Munoz. What are we saying?
Pedro Munoz.
Oh, I would say Jose Aldo. Alright, so there's our first disagreement. Interesting. Co-main event, the women's bantamweight title is on the line. Amanda Nunes defends her belt against Juliana Pena. What are you saying for this one?
I pull in for Pena with the upset.
Dog, I swear every time Amanda Nunes fights, dog, you always go against her and she always wins, dog. So I'm gonna pick Amanda Nunes, dog, because
we'll see when Amanda Nunes unconscious on the canvas.
Dog, there's no way. Dog, somebody clip that thing you said Amanda Nunes is gonna be a doctor on the ground, on the floor, whatever, and I want that clip to play over Amanda Nunes celebrating a win. and the main event time, Derek Lewis, Cyril Gane, what we saying? Interim heavyweight championship belt on the line.
So like a quick prediction of how this fight gonna go. I think Cyril Gane just gonna try and hug this man. Derek Lewis gonna do his thing. Maybe give up the first couple rounds, let Gane get tired, and then maybe finish him in the third or fourth. So like I lean towards Derek Lewis with a TKO.
So would I. Derek Lewis is my guy. I really do like him. He is one of my favorite heavyweights. The likes of Stipe Miocic and Francis Ngannou as well. So yeah, I really do hope Derek Lewis wins this fight. I do think he will, because in his last fight versus Curtis Blade, we really did see a lot better takedown defense, and if he could really stop the defense, stop the takedowns, and keep the fight standing, I think he does have that lights out one hit knockout punch power. So I think Cyril Gane is going to sleep at some point in this fight.
Yeah, honestly, I'd see that after Cyril Gane's performance against Alexander Volkov, because I just hate these touch butt, cross sniffer kind of fighters, but
wrestlers are called
Khabib included.
No, Khabib is one of the guys who would keep the ground and pound going and keep the fights entertaining.
Yeah, that's right. Just like Conor McGregor, I only count knockouts as a win.
What about leg breaks?
That's a doctor stoppage.
Doctor stoppage. It's same leg break, doctor stoppage, same thing. But but yeah, I'll pull in for Derek Lewis, and it's in his hometown as well, in Houston, so he will have the home crowd behind him. So
And it's also new Toyota Center, so that's like a big like I'm excited for the electricity of that live crowd right there.
yeah, I don't even follow basketball, but I believe that is the home of the Houston Rockets, the big, well, not so big right now, but big basketball team in Houston. So yeah, it's gonna be mad in Houston come August 7th. But yeah, that's it from us here. If you have anything else you want to say, Rajiv, you can say it now.
No, I think we covered everything. We're just looking forward to bringing more analysis, more breakdowns, and all of that on
Yeah,
these upcoming UFC cards.
you
So
don't know.
yeah, that's it from me.
Yeah, guys, keep it tuned there. As always, we'll keep you guys updated. Don't forget to follow the page Counter Strike MMA on Twitter, on Instagram, my bad. And yeah, follow all the socials down below. My socials, Rajiv socials down there. You can find them. And yeah, guys, as always, catch you guys soon.